guys, what is up? My name is Josh, or you may know me as DodaTech. Today we're building a PC. So, client emailed me and he said he wanted a budget gaming PC. So that's what we've got here. So for the case, we've got the Thermaltake V4 Black Edition. It's a very nice case, it's quite budget oriented, but it's still a nice case. It has quite decent looks. It's got USB 3 up on the front here. And yeah, it also comes with a OEM power supply, so we took that out because we're going to show you how to install that if you don't have this case. But yeah, for the CPU, we have the Intel Pentium G3240. For a motherboard, we have the ASRock H81M-HDS. For RAM, we've got two 4GB sticks of Kingston, I think it's their value series. This is 1600 MHz RAM, and I think it's C11. Yeah, C11. So yeah, nice high performance RAM. Well, budget RAM, but it's about as good as you're going to get. We have a Western Digital 1TB blue. That's going to be the only drive in this system for the moment. We also have a copy of Windows 8.1 Home, 64-bit. And the most expensive part, the Asus Radeon R9 270X Direct CU2 Top. See, I had to read the model number there. So let's get to building. We basically want to clean up our workspace. So these parts here, like the graphics card, the motherboard, the operating system and the CPU, they can go away for the moment, so we're just going to place them back here. Maybe you'll be able to see them behind me there. But we'll talk about tools. So basically for this build, we're going to go with a standard Phillips No. 2 screwdriver. It's just a nice ratcheting driver I've got here. I've also got some other bits here, so we're probably not going to use them, but I've got a flat, some Torx bits. We're probably not going to use them today. And some sort of knife to open parts with. But yeah, so we unboxed our case and we've got this documentation, so we're just going to set that right there. I'm going to leave the plastic on this for the client to decide. Actually, no, I'm not. We're going to peel all of this off. So we've got all this front plastic here, as well as this top bit up here, as well as a bit on this side panel window, and it looks like there's another bit on the inside of that. So we're just going to set that over there. And now, if you look, there'll be four screws on the back here. And on this case, two of them are thumb screws, so we're going to undo the thumb screws for now. If I can get that one. You might need a screwdriver to do this. If they're thumb screws from the factory, sometimes they're a little tight. So we're going to set them where we'll remember them. And now, usually the case panels, they just slide back and come off. This one's a little different. It slides back a little bit and then it pulls off like that. And there's no plastic on the inside like I thought, so we're just going to leave it like that. We'll put it back in the box. We're putting the panel back in the box, I should say. And let's have a look at the inside of the case. So we've got a power supply mount down at the bottom here with a dust filter, which I'm not sure if it comes out or not. Got our 5 1/4 inch bays up here. These are the ones you'll see from the front. We're not putting an optical drive in this build, so we won't be showing you how to use them. We've got our hard drive bays down at the front here, and our motherboard is going to sit here. We've also got a fan here at the back, and there's none at the front, so it's just this one fan we have to hook up. So yeah, there's also, oh that's nice, There's also a bunch of screws in this Ziploc bag, which also has another Ziploc bag with the actual screws in it. This has got some hard drive screws, some motherboard screws, some motherboard standoffs, and we'll show you what they're like afterwards. It's also got a little case speaker, so this will go on your motherboard. It will have post readouts, like that's what makes the little beeps. So we're going to chuck these back in here, and we'll set that over here. We've also got, let me come around here. I don't know if you can still see me, but we've also got all these connectors here, and they're all zip tied together, as well as this one fan connector, which is kind of on its own. We just want to leave them kind of out of the way. So I left the RAM out, don't know why, I'm going to put that back behind me. So to start, you can see me again, we're going to put the power supply in. This is really the easiest component to put in. It's literally, usually it's 4 screws, but with this case it's got an extra little bit to hold it in, which is another 2 screws. Don't know if your case will have that, usually cases don't, but this one has got, let's see if I can show you here. It's got an extra little bit that screws in from the bottom of the case. Let's see if the camera will focus on that. Let's put it in my hand. It's got an extra little bit that will bolt the power supply in. So that's not terribly useful. Most cases don't come with that. But yeah, so we're just going to get all the cables out of the way. And you'll notice, usually, there's 2 types of power supplies, one with a fan on the bottom, one with a fan on the back. The ones with the fan on the back, you just put it in whichever way it fits. The ones with the bottom, you have sort of a decision to make. If you're going to set your power supply on carpet, you want to have the fan upwards, so it can breathe air in from your case. If you are not going to set it on carpet, you're going to set it on tile or wood, you want your fan downwards, so it can breathe air in, nice fresh cold air from the outside of your case. It's up to you whether you do that or not. I'm just, since it's got a fan on the back, I'm just going to put it in whichever way it fits in this case. So turn your case around, you'll see there's 4 screw holes in each, well, 1 in each corner here, and 1 is offset. So what we're going to do is see on the power supply, there's 1 screw hole in each corner and then 1 is offset. This one technically you could say is offset too, but there's one that's really, really, really offset. So this is the way the power supply is going to go. Also the label will be seen from the inside of the case if it goes that way, as you might be able to see there. So to install your power supply, you just rest it as best as you can inside your case, like so. You look at the back and you line the screw holes up, like we've done here. And like I said, there's 1 screw in each corner, so you want to grab your power supply screws. If you're getting any aftermarket power supply, it'll come with screws, but your case will also come with screws, and they're a hex head, well, let's see if I can show you here. They're sort of a coarse thread with a rounded head, but with the hex shape around it. So is that going to focus? Not really. So yeah, I might do an overlay of the screw, I don't know. But basically it's 1 of them in each corner. Now you don't want to tighten them straight away. Now this can be difficult. So you want to hold your power supply in, and I'm not giving you a very good angle of this, but you want to hold your power supply in, and just start each of the screws. So I've started that one there. And you want to work diagonally. It's generally a good idea to work diagonally with computers so you don't put any stress, well, as much stress on the components. So we're just going to seat this in here. If I can get the screw in. Another reason why you do it diagonally is so you have a little bit of wiggle room with your components. So we've put that one in. We haven't put them in all the way, so we have wiggle room, so we can put the other screws in. So like I said, this is a ratcheting driver, so I don't have to, oh, just bump the mic there. So I don't have to, that's probably very loud. So I don't have to turn the screwdriver. It's just a nicer screwdriver. You can use a normal screwdriver if you want to. So now that that's in, we just want to tighten down the rest of the screws. And like I said, you want to go diagonally. You want to be snug but not too tight, and work diagonally like I said, and just snug them up. Don't want them too particularly tight. So now that that's in, that's the most you're going to have to do with any normal style case, but with this case there's an extra bit we have to put in the bottom. So I'm going to take the other panel off just so I don't scratch it when I lay the case down. So there's just two other screws. I think they're the same as the power supply screws. Yeah, they look about the same as the power supply screws. Generally, case and power supply screws are the same. Generally there. Power supply screws usually aren't thumb screws. With this case, two of the side panel screws were thumb screws like this, compared to normal style case screws like so. So there's the normal thumb screw, and there's the case and power supply screw. So now that that panel's off, it comes off the same way, it just kind of falls off. We're going to place this in the box, but with the styrofoam in between the two panels, so we don't scratch any of the panels on one another. We're also going to set the screws out of the way. Actually, we might stick them in this bag here so we don't lose them. And they're black, so they match the case. And yeah. So this bit that I'm about to do isn't on normal cases. I've never seen any design like this. But this case has a little bit, as I showed earlier, that basically hugs the power supply and gives it a little extra sort of, see if I can show you. So there's this little bit I showed you before, and if we look at the power supply down here, it just sort of clips on. I can get quick shot here. See here, I'm moving it with my fingers. Just sort of clips on and screws to the bottom of the case. So I'm going to do that now. Sorry I can't give you a better angle of this, but there's no real good angle I can do. So I'm going to put a screw on my screwdriver, set the ratchet so I can turn it without moving my hand. And it doesn't matter whether you do the bottom or the top screw first, just basically snug it up like the other ones. And yeah, if you're on the last screw that you're putting in, you can tighten that down. Won't hurt anything because you're going to tighten the other one anyway. So they're both snugged down. And like I said, that bit is optional. Make sure you haven't trapped any cables under your power supply before you go any further. And we haven't. So yeah, the power supply is installed. There's also a rubber band and a couple of zip ties on the power supply. Afterwards, we're going to put those in. Well, hopefully put those in. Put those in, take those out. We're going to take those zip ties and rubber bands off because cable ties, there's also a cable tie in here, did I mention that? Cable ties, they have wire in them, and if that wire touches any of your components, they'll short out, most likely. So if each end of the wire touches an electronic component, it'll short out. So that's very bad, it basically kills your computer. But now, we're going to put a hard drive in. So this is our Western Digital 1TB blue, and basically got a tear here bit. Western Digital is the only drive manufacturer that I know that does this sort of tear here style food packet. Now, this little piece of, or this little bag of desiccant is the only piece that says do not eat. Apparently you can eat everything else, but do not eat this. I'm going to show you this just in case you get confused. You do not, under any circumstances, want to eat this. This is very bad for you. And apparently all of the lead and mercury in this is alright. Sorry, that just cracks me up. But yeah, we've got the hard drive here, and you'll see the hard drive, see, it's nice and shiny. It has 3 screws on each side, as well as 4 on the bottom, screw holes I should say. So 1, 2, 3, 4, as well as, I'm sure you saw, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You want to grab the little bag or box of screws that came with your case. And you want to find the screws. Now it's different. There was a standard with this once upon a time, but it's different with every case manufacturer now on. So I'm guessing these are the right screws. I'm going to check before I commit to it here. Yep. So the screws you want to grab are these little screws with the round head, and I'll show you once I get one out. It's these screws with the round head here. Maybe it'll help if I put it on the screwdriver. Is that going to focus? I'll put it up. Here's my shirt. Anyway, it's a little screw, there we are, focused, with a round head. The other screws I showed you, they had a, let's see if I can get one out here. Yeah, there they are. The screws I showed you earlier, they had a hex head like this. This is a typical case and power supply screw. I don't know if you can see, but it has a hex head. These screws that we're using now for the hard drive have a round head, so camera focuses, there we are. They have a round head. So we want to grab 4 of those per drive. So if you have 2, 3, 4, however many drives, you want to grab 4 for each, and yeah. You want to put the other screws back in the bag. Now the hard drives, they go in these bays down here. These are called 3.5-inch bays. And you see they have a toolless design. I don't know how good this toolless design is. This is a very inexpensive case. So I'm going to leave this up to the customer, but I'm going to place that in a lower slot. Actually, I'll put it back in the slot it came out of. It doesn't matter which slot you put your drive in, you just want to choose one that's going to look the best. So, me, I have a bit of a different approach. I'm going to pick a slot that's easiest to show the camera. So I've taken the toolless bit off, and I'm just going to put it on the drive holder below. And I'm going to screw this drive in fully. If you're not moving this system around, twist tight. Never want them in your system. Just found that. Sorry, thought I'd point that out. If you're not shipping your system or anything like that, it's all right to have the toolless design in. But yeah, you never want the toolless design if you're moving the computer around or anything like that. I like to screw it in anyway, just because the customer doesn't know what he's going to do in the future, so might as well screw it in. But what you want to do is you want to find which bay you want to use, and just slide the drive into the appropriate bay. And it might take a little bit of force. Don't push things too much. And you'll see the screw holes line up. Let's see if you can see that. So, as you can see here and here, the screw holes have lined up. Now, you want to take the screws I showed you earlier with the round head, and I hope you guessed this, screw it in. Now, the snug but not too tight rule doesn't really come into play here. If the screw holes have lined up, generally they're not going to move, but it's still a good habit to get into. So you just want to make sure they're snug. Then you flip the whole case around, get these cables out of the way here, and there's two other screw holes in this mounting system. And if you use the toolless design, you want to put these in anyway. Or you don't have to, but I like to put them in anyway. And once all four are in, I grabbed the wrong screw. There's two types of round-headed screw. One of them is like the case and power supply screws, where it's got a different shape on the inside. This one doesn't have a different shape on the inside, it's still a circle, but it's a different screw. So you want to make sure you grab the right ones. Sometimes it's a good idea to check. So I'm guessing they are motherboard screws. So we'll check that after. But you want to make sure you have the right screws. I'm glad I saw that. You're only going to be able to put 3 screws in this one, since it has a, you know how we struggled to get it in? It's actually got a lock to stop it from going too far. So that's why I can't get the screw in there. So yeah, that's the hard drive installed and the power supply installed. Simple, right?